This week on ANN, Adventist women in Rwanda impact their communities.
Medical outreach in India changes lives.
And the first Adventist game app is a hit.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the First Lady of Rwanda is urging Adventist women in the region to maximize their potential. First Lady Jeanette Kagame was in Butare last week to open the Adventist Church's International Women's Congress and a nearby exhibition showcasing women's achievements. Organizers say the Congress encourages women to bring positive change to their communities. Church officials say they chose Rwanda to host the event because the country is a strong advocate of women's empowerment and gender equality.
Lay members have pledged nearly $1.3 million to missionary projects sponsored by Adventist Laymen Services and Industries. The offering came during the organization's annual international convention held last week in the U.S. state of Florida. The donation surpassed a project goal by more than $100,000. Funds will go towards projects such as the One Day School. The initiative is run by Maranatha International and provides educational infrastructure in disadvantaged communities worldwide.
75 Australian dollars. That's all it takes to pay for cataract surgery at an Adventist hospital in northwest India. But for many locals, the cost is prohibitive. An estimated 15 million people in the country are blind or vision impaired, often due to cataracts and other operable conditions. A new project run by It Is Written Oceania is collecting donations to make the life-changing surgery a reality for people in disadvantaged communities. The project Eyes for India is supporting cataract surgery and other procedures at the Ruby Nelson Memorial Hospital and outreach clinics. The Adventist Hospital is a major provider of eye care in the region, performing more than 6,000 cataract surgeries every year.
The Adventist Church's first game for iPhone and iPad was downloaded 3,000 times in the first 48 hours of its release, making it one of the most immediately successful Christian game apps. Heroes is a trivia game based on the lives of Abraham, David, Esther, and other prominent biblical characters. Players can learn their stories and test their Bible knowledge by answering as many questions as possible within 60 seconds. Correct answers earn players mana, which they can trade for game helps. The Lazarus effect gives players a second chance, a reference to how Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead.
We want to use the game so that people can engage with the biblical heroes and eventually come and meet face to face to know what it's like to become disciples of the ultimate hero, Jesus Christ.
A team from the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Malawi recently toured Zimbabwe to learn about the climate-smart agricultural practices that ADRA Zimbabwe and its partners there are implementing. The team from Malawi also visited horticultural projects in Harare, where smart agriculture is being mainstreamed. ADRA Zimbabwe and its partners are leaders in renewable energy usage and environmentally friendly agriculture.
Bible prophecy came to life in Papua New Guinea last week when organizers of an evangelism event inflated a 10-meter statue of the image from Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Adventist evangelist Gary Kent used the statue to help illustrate an outreach series linking biblical prophecy to world history and current events. More than 40,000 people turned out for the third night of the series in Leh. The Last Empire series is part of the Adventist World Church's mission to the city's initiative. Leh is Papua New Guinea's second largest city.
And finally in the news this week, Sherry Ingram Hudgens will serve as the new director of the Adventist Church's Office of Adventist Membership Software. The office was created last year to oversee standardized membership accounting software for church use worldwide. The software is streamlining how the church keeps track of members and collects data on trends within membership. Ingram Hudgens is a former business owner and corporate programmer who currently works for the Adventist Church in North America. Her appointment fills a vacancy left by Andrew Kunteroff, who passed away in April.
Coming up, the current issue of Liberty magazine explores the downside of government funding.
As I was reading this great hope, this passage from page 60 caught my attention. The noon of the papacy was the midnight of the world. Pope Gregory VII summoned the Emperor of Germany, Henry IV, for disobeying his orders. And he waited to see the Pope 3 long days on winter days, night and day, without much clothes and without his guards. Here is what gives me hope. Jesus is just the opposite. He stands on the door of my heart and he knocks, and if I would open, he would come in and abide with me always.
One of the reasons why I am so convinced that God can give true freedom is because I've seen it time and time again in my work as a chaplain in the United States Navy. I remember a young man who had all kinds of addictions. He had seen counselors and psychologists, but he began to attend one of my Bible studies, and he got to know the Christ whom I have come to love. And he was freed from these debilitating addictions because of his relationship with God. So I am convinced that the freedom that God brings as we grapple with shackles and chains and addictions is the freedom that leads to true joy.
Welcome back. Last year, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. The resolution supported cleanup and recovery, but it also marked a major shift in church-state relations. Lincoln Steed explains.
In October 2012, the east coast of the United States was ravaged by Hurricane Sandy. New Jersey, New York, in a broad swathe were destroyed, disrupted. People's homes were destroyed and lives were dislocated in ways that are still with us. Something also was dislocated as a result of that storm, because House Resolution 592 from the U.S. Congress deals with something that is an incredible shift in church-state attitudes as a result of this. A number of people have made application to FEMA and to the government that in the rebuilding process, churches be rebuilt with FEMA funds, direct funding for church reconstruction. This is not necessarily a great evil, but it is a huge shift in the dynamic of state aid for church structures. Someone once observed, it's been off the table for a long, long time to have direct aid for church building. But a broad array of religionists have felt that now, after this great disaster, the community needs to be rebuilt, and the churches themselves need this money. Liberty Magazine, in our July-August issue, is treating on this, and I think all that read it, and you can go online to libertymagazine.org and see it for yourself, will see that there is a lot at play, and that in these early days of the 21st century, many people are not so convinced on the wall of separation and the need to keep government monies away from church entities.
3/4 of the population of Burkina Faso live in rural areas where access to water remains low and contamination and disease are constant threats. Wells drilled by the Adventist Development and Relief Agency are bringing new opportunities to the region.
In many countries of Africa, women and children spend a large portion of their day in the simple task of collecting water. In the dry season, the nearest source of water may be 7 to 10 miles away. If you're lucky, you might have a donkey that can help you on the return trip. Many others must gather only what they can carry on their head and carefully walk the long distance home.
Even then, the water that we brought home was not safe. It was filled with waterborne diseases. Our children would often get sick, and some would die just from drinking water. A couple of years ago, all this changed when ADRA installed a borehole just a short distance from our village. Now, we have plenty of pure, safe water for everything we want to do. It is so close by that we can go get water 10 times a day if we want to. We no longer have to ration water. We use it for drinking, cooking, and bathing. We now can wash our hands before we eat. We can even wash our clothes at home. It even helps us to gain a little income. By having water, we are now able to raise animals and have small market gardens. But most importantly, our children are no longer getting sick. If they do get malaria, we can now give them as much water as they will drink, without the fear that the water might make them worse. We are so thankful to ADRA for giving us safe, pure, clean water for our children.
Missionaries often face language and culture barriers, but as one boy learns on this month's feature from Adventist Mission, offers of help are universally understood.
Christoph and his family moved from a crowded city in Germany to a remote community in Portugal. They wanted to be closer to God and to one another. Their new home looks out onto a beautiful mountain range. Here, Christoph and his brothers have the biggest playground they could wish for. When Christoph's family arrived, they had a tough time making friends in their new community. They didn't know the language, and it was awkward relating to people from a completely different culture. So Christoph and his mom decided to simply help people in their village. After all, there are no barriers for lending a helping hand. One day, Christoph met a goat herder, and he asked the man if he could help take care of his goats. The man pleasantly agreed, and he began to teach Christoph how to care for these playful animals. After a bit of time spent together, Christoph learned that his new friend Antonio did not know how to read or write. So Christoph offered to read stories to his new friend on his next visit. Christoph was eager to share the beautiful messages he had learned in the Bible, so he brought his favorite book with him. As he read, Antonio listened attentively. He was happy to have someone read to him, and these were special messages from the Word of God. On one occasion, Antonio told Christoph that he believes there is a God in heaven. Antonio also shared that years ago, his grandma believed in the Sabbath as God's day for rest and worship. Christoph was really happy to find a friend he could share the Bible with. Today, Christoph has his own goats. He cares for them every day with his brothers. The goats are a lot of fun. Christoph and his family thank God for the wonderful blessings He gives each one of us. Why don't you try listening to God's voice and sharing His amazing stories with others? You never know what exciting gift God will bring to your life.
Is your ministry vulnerable to cybercrime? Adventist Risk Management shares a few simple policies and best practices to protect your church, school, or home network and protect personal data.
In this information era, we have a quick and easy access to sharing and finding information. The church has spent considerable amounts of money on their accounting and information technology systems in order to support the organization needs and ministry. Sadly, cyber attacks can target these systems and the valuable information they contain. Personal data can be exposed through the loss of a laptop or the breach of a network. Cyber risk is a very real threat in the technology world. Each year, the amount of money that is set aside to meet this threat is in the billions of dollars in the United States alone. The church has experienced these types of uninsured losses with incidents that cost in excess of $1 million each. We need to address these risks. Simple steps such as creating an information technology policy, training your staff, and using best practices can make a difference. Adding a cyber liability insurance policy can keep you covered if the worst happens. Adventist Risk Management can be your partner, bringing solutions to minimize your risks of cyber threats. Remember, at Adventist Risk Management, our ministry is to protect your ministry.
The Journal of Adventist Education was a winner at this year's Association of Education Publishers Awards. Lisa Beardsley Hardy reports.
Congratulations, Beverly. It was so much fun to be with you last night at the Hilton to celebrate with the Association of Educational Publishers. You've been there many times. How many times has the Journal of Adventist Education been a finalist for these awards?
We've been a finalist or a winner 14 times over the years.
14 times since 1970 something?
73.
And last night you were a finalist for 3 different awards at the gala.
Yes, that was especially exciting. That's the most times that we've ever been a finalist in one year, and we have been once in other years.
And how did you do?
We did great. We won in one of the categories for design for single issue, for the entire issue, then thanks to Harry Knox, our art director and designer for the journal.
And Harry Knox was with us last night at the gala. That was a great issue. I just love the way the stamp was used for each of the different articles.
Yes, that was very creative. He thought that he wanted to carry a theme through the whole issue that would tie everything together visually, and I think he succeeded very well. When they told us about what the judges had said, they reacted to it very positively.
And it was a useful issue for principals design, especially for the different issues that principals face in caring for an Adventist school. Congratulations again.
Well, thank you, and we should also thank Janet Ledesma, who was the coordinator for the issue. She did a marvelous job in helping me put it together.
Thank you, Beverly.
Still ahead on ANN, remembering a forgotten hero of Adventism.
But up next, young people share their faith through service.
The ultrasound tech shared with us the great news that we were having another boy, and then she indicated that something wasn't quite right and that we needed to have an extra visit with the doctor right after the ultrasound. As I continued on through the pregnancy, I just poured my heart out to the Lord and continued to pray for my child and asked Him to give me the peace to know that no matter what happened, that He would give us the strength to go through with it.
Revival is the renewal of the spiritual energies of the soul. It has to do with a new commitment to Jesus every day. It leads us to a deeper experience in prayer. It leads us to the diligent study of God's Word and a life of service in Christian witness.
The book, The Great Controversy, for me, is the most powerful book that Ellen White wrote. This is the book that can touch lives and hearts. The Great Controversy Project is the great opportunity that our church has to do something big for God in this time when the people is looking at the catastrophes and the problems. We will present our message of hope.
I pray for my mom, dad, and my sister, and if anyone in my family is sick, I pray for them.
I pray for that everybody gets to go to heaven. My family members that are sick and poor. I think that's all.
Please pray at 7 in the morning and at 7 in the evening, 7 days a week.
Welcome back. Young people from Canada, France, and Russia are sharing their faith in Africa. Their group of volunteers is helping to create safe environments for children through community service projects.
Worried about the health of the community, especially the young children, a group of young people from Canada, France, and Russia descended on Kwalanga, where they cleaned the drainage system to allow free passage of water, cleaned the community facilities and renovated the play center to make the playground a better place for the children and to keep them away from mischief and drugs, which are the major problem in these communities.
We are three groups, I could say. One from Canada, one from Paris, and one single delegate from Russia. We are working on a beautification project for a park for children. This park needs to be refurnished, so therefore we want to repair it. There was some dangerous water, stagnant water. We are diverting the water in order to make the place safe. Then secondly, we will be painting the games to make it look better. And we have, along with the children, picked up some trashes and garbages all around the vicinity so that they learn how to keep the place clean.
I want to share my energy and my faith by being in service for the children and the town.
So I come in Africa because of this project. I think it's a really interesting project because we can give a part of myself to other people, to serve other people. And I think it's also a way to mix our culture with other worker, Canadian friends, etc., and to discover local culture.
It's a very beautiful experience working here with the kids who are trying to help us also. It's funny to see also the fact that they're having fun with nothing. Back in Montreal, Canada, we must have like video games, but we cannot go just outside. So it's really nice to see that, and it's very a blessing to be with these people today.
I'm so grateful that the people come here to clean our province here. I thank them. We're very happy about that. Thanks.
What tech gear should you bring on your next business trip or vacation? Frequent traveler Jesse Johnson helps us navigate the options on this week's Tech Corner.
I travel a fair amount and I need to make sure that my tech is with me and ready to work when I need it to. So I thought I'd show you some stuff that I keep in my bag. First, the bag itself. I use a power bag that has a built-in battery with cables routed in the lining up to the various pockets. When I store my iPad or smartphone, I can plug them in and they can be fully charged by the time I get to where I'm going. I usually keep a variety of cables in my bag, but I've found these newer cables that have a variety of ends on them to fit my various devices. This one has a single cable with an end that fits 3 different devices, a micro USB, an Apple 30-pin connector, and the newer Apple Lightning connector. This other one has 3 cables that come off the USB that give you the same 3 connectors, so you can power or sync most any device. I always keep this Belkin Mini Surge Protector in there so I can get a few more outlets wherever I need them. It also has 2 USB ports with 2.1 amps each, so I can power even my most hungry devices. I love these cord cruncher headphones because they retract away when I'm not using them, and this Belkin headphone splitter so I can share my media with several friends at once. Just some thoughts on tech when I travel.
An upcoming evangelism series reveals how the prophecies of the Bible bring hope and lasting peace. John Bradshaw explains on this month's feature from It Is Written.
I'm John Bradshaw for It Is Written. Thanks for stopping by. I want to tell you about something really exciting that It Is Written is doing later this year. You know, It Is Written has always been about evangelism in all of its forms. And later on this year, we're having a fantastic evangelistic series in the great city of Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, if you're not in Charlotte, this can still be a blessing to you and those you know, because the series is going to be broadcast by satellite and also webcast. So if you have a good, decent internet connection, you'll be able to watch it right on your computer. To find out more information about the when and the where and how you can watch and participate, go to revelationtoday.com. Revelationtoday.com. It would be great if your church would show this for your community, or if people in your church would flip on their TVs or open up their computers and bring their neighbors and friends and colleagues and so on to be part of what's going to be a great event. It starts in October the 11th, Charlotte, North Carolina, a month-long series called Revelation Today. I hope you'll join us for what's going to be a great blessing from God. God bless you today.
Adventist World Church President Ted Wilson is inviting viewers to accept God's many gifts. This week's gift is Jesus' atoning ministry in the heavenly sanctuary.
Just as there is a real sanctuary on earth, the Bible unveils a real sanctuary in heaven. The earthly sanctuary reveals through symbols what is happening in the heavenly sanctuary. Jesus is now ministering on our behalf, making available to believers the benefits of His atoning sacrifice, offered once for all on the cross. He has now entered the second and final phase called the investigative judgment, which is part of the ultimate disposition of all sin. He is vindicating God's standards before those who mock and oppose God. This ministry offers great comfort and assurance to Christians, knowing that we are not alone before the bar of eternal justice. Our advocate is Jesus Christ. Accept the gift of His ministry for you in the heavenly sanctuary, and rejoice that God is on our side as we continue to trust and obey Him.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, milestones in the life of a man who helped the church weather the Great Depression.
Welcome to This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History. On August 11 in 1912, Australians C.H. Parker and his wife arrived in the New Hebrides Islands, the first Adventist missionaries to the country that today is called Vanuatu. August 12 in 1981 witnessed the groundbreaking ceremony for Central Philippine Adventist College, which opened its doors a year later. Today, it has over 1,000 students. Also on August 12, but 31 years later, Kenyan Adventist Abel Kirui took the silver medal in the marathon at the 2012 London Olympic Games, a race, I should say, that was run on a Sunday. On August 16 in 1880, Will H. Williams, one of the forgotten heroes of Adventism, was born in Corydon, Pennsylvania. Age 25, Williams became business manager of Oakwood College, where he served for 6 years, before serving another 6 years as Secretary-Treasurer of the Southeastern Union Conference. In 1916, he went as a missionary to Argentina, where he helped to found the South American Division. He was its first Secretary-Treasurer, serving for 12 years. He later served as Under-Treasurer of the General Conference for 24 years from 1930 to 54, and his decisions helped to preserve denominational finances during the Great Depression. Williams was both born and died this week in Adventist history, for on August 15, 1961, he passed away in Escondido, California, one day before his 81st birthday. That was This Week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from Psalms. The passage says, "I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With Him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest secure."
That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.